Panther Nation, the C3 podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com.
I had fun, man. Just out, the guys joking. We working at the same time. Putting the work in as a team. Like I said, I'm just glad to be with the guys.
My favorite night of the week.
We're gonna go out there and we're playing to win. We're not out here just to just show up. We're out here to win.
I don't want guys that want to win, because really, who doesn't? Nobody wants to win. Everybody wants to win. I want players that hate to lose.
Well, this embodies everything that we are as a team, as an organization. Our motto is keep pounding, and that's what we do. You know what I'm saying?
Panther fans, it's your boy, Professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn. This is the C3 podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Every Tuesday night, I chop it up with my buddies, my pals, and you, Panther Nation. The latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. I'm here tonight, down a man, but here we are with him, though. We are with Mel tonight. He's not here tonight, Joe, but he's our guy. But Joe Riolano is my best friend. How you doing, Joe?
Hey, what's up, Panther Nation? I am happy to be here on a Tuesday night. We get to talk Carolina Panthers football. I know I sound unusually happy coming in after a loss. I'm happy because I made the Fantasy League playoffs. 4 wins in a row. 5 out of the last 6 weeks. I've managed to pull out W's. I am gunning for the chip.
Heck yeah. Joey's got a couple of greenbacks in his eyeballs. He is going to take them down.
That's right.
Mel's not here. Look, Panther Nation, we need you to put your thoughts and prayers up for Mel's wife. She's very ill. I have not discussed if it's appropriate for me to talk about any and not that we're going to talk about the details, but just know that she is very ill, and that Mel could use your support. Just say this. Just say you're thinking about him and his family and you love him. He's a Christian, so appreciate the prayers. I know that anybody would, even if they're not at this time. So look, tonight's and unrelated to that, because gosh, it's like a lot of heaviness tonight, Joe. Tonight's episode is Fire and Brimstone, episode 17.43. The Panthers lose to the Saints. What was it, 31-21?
That's it.
31-21, lose to the Saints. The Saints have swept the Carolina Panthers this year. The Saints move to 9-3, and the Panthers fall to 8-4. Now the Panthers have to continue to play to get in, and it looks like it's going to be difficult to secure the NFC Championship. It's not out of sight, but boy, this was a game that the Panthers needed to win if they did want to become division championship. It looks like now our eyes are on the wild card race, which, look, that could take 11 wins in the NFC. So,
yes, I think it will. In fact, I think to guarantee yourself a spot, you're going to have 11 wins.
Which is insane, because you can make the wild card with like 6 wins in the AFC.
Yeah, exactly.
You could put 2, it would almost be like this, is you could take a NFC team and they could play twice in the AFC. They could play 2 wild card positions and just split their record in half.
That's right.
And they get 2 seeds. But we'll be talking about the Saints tonight. Like I said, it's Fire and Brimstone, and the question is this atonement or damnation? Is there an opportunity for repentance for the Panthers, or will they be damned? And in the end, when it comes to the loss against the Saints, it sucks to get swept by a division opponent. We'll be talking about all of that. We'll break down the game. We'll try to look towards the Minnesota Vikings a little bit and see what the stakes are. We don't have any guests tonight, Joe, so it's just old school. It's just you and I rolling deep with the people on YouTube. And you know what? We do have some fantastic calls in the YouTube or on the Cat Calls line. The number there is 252-228-5098. And I already see people showing up in the YouTube chat. We appreciate all the support, and we can continue to ask you for that support by doing some simple things. Right now, if you're watching on YouTube, you just smash that like button right below. You give us a thumbs up. That really helps. You can even hit the share and share it on Facebook, share it on Periscope, share it on Twitter, wherever you share stuff these days. Snappy Chat, I don't even know anything about those things particularly. Joe, say it louder because I missed the comment.
I don't see. Normally, I'm able to see. I thought I was able. Oh, you know what? I know where it is. Never mind.
Okay, you trying to scare me, huh?
Yeah.
Trying to
You know, that's
Joe likes to do. Joe trying to throw a dang curveball at me, and I don't do well with a curveball. I'm like Shaq Thompson with the curveball. I'm 1 for 46. You know what I'm saying? You hit me up with some problems with the stream or the audio. All of a sudden, I'm flustered. The whole damn game is over for me.
Right. We're good. We're rolling right.
But like I was saying, look, give the show a share. Give the show a share wherever those people share things these days. I'm trying to keep up with all of it myself. We're live all the time on Periscope, Facebook, and Twitter is where we get down and do the chat. YouTube as well. You can follow me at @cat_chronicles. And look, go to carolinacatchronicles.com for the latest news, opinions from the fan perspective. We're always looking for some help building that conversation. And you can do it just by sharing the show and following and participating. And Joe, let's talk about this. The Panthers go on the road. I felt like coming off of 2 weeks, we had a bye, and then you had the Jets, and you get a win. It was a tough win on the road, not anything convincing necessarily, but what you need to do, you go to New Orleans, and you have an opportunity to really take the bull by the horns, I guess they would say. I wish I had something, the trumpet, what's a good New Orleans reference? I don't know. And Mel would know this because he knows, like, he always has a drink. He calls it, what, the hurricane? Is it a hurricane drink or something like that?
Yeah.
You could take that
That's
hurricane
right.
drink and throw it down and have a good time. Party on your way out the door. But no, the Panthers couldn't do it. The Saints, they really had their number the whole game, my friend. You know, I don't know. Is that I felt I saw some good things from the Panthers at times where I thought, man, the Saints are not steamrolling us. Here's a funny story for you, Joey. My son, fortunately, he does this thing. It's like this choir thing that he has to do, and it's from 1:30 to 3 on Sundays. So what I generally time is this, is I can almost time it right at halftime where I'm running out the door to drop him off. I will drop him off at his event, and it's from 2:30 to 4 generally. And I can go right out at halftime. I can drop him off at his event, which is like 2 minutes away from the ale house. I can get to the ale house by the start of the third quarter. So, like, if anything, I miss like the final minute of the second quarter. I can listen to it in the radio. I get to the ale house. I have a great time. I get to drink some beers, have some fun. And then the game's over and I go pick Michael up, right? You know what I mean? It's like this kind of perfect timing. Well, fortunately, because we're getting closer to Christmas time, they moved the time to 1:30, and this was a 4:25 game. So I'm like, man, this is going to be amazing. I can take Michael. I can be good dad. You know what I'm saying? Do what your family obligations are. And I can then get all the way home and watch the game undisturbed and focus. So my wife calls me. I'm sitting there at the ale house enjoying that. Well, I'm trying to watch that Vikings Falcons game. My wife calls me and she says the dryer is finally broken. We have been pushing it and pushing it and pushing it for a long time. And I said this. I tried to play good dad, good husband. I said, meet me at Lowe's at 3:15. And I was like, I'm going to buy this damn driver.
Famous last words.
Yeah. Well, no, like I had it, dude. I was at home by the start of the game. But like I was dragging this dryer in and I was trying to watch the game. And at where we were at, because the Green Bay game went into overtime, we missed the first drive. Or at least maybe I was just looking funny because of the the way I recorded it or something. I missed the first drive. All of a sudden, it's 7-0. I turn on the TV. The dryer, I could bring the TV in where I was at working. So I was watching the whole game, and I was like, damn, 7-0 already. But the Panthers strike, dude. So, I got this. I just dropped all this dough. You know what I'm saying? And I'm upset already that I'm having to do this. My whole plan was foiled because of stupid family life of clothing and the obligations that come with it. And then the Panthers strike back and tie it up. And I'm like, this is a great sign. I'm going to hook this dryer up, and it's going to be on. And then, you know what? We did tie it up. But then we never seemed to be able to catch up after that. Joey, how you feeling after this Saints game?
Well,
I was run through the dryer.
I was angry, honestly. I think normally I would be disappointed, but in this particular case, I was angry. I just felt like, we did so many things to hurt ourselves, just stupid things, that you wouldn't expect from a veteran team. Coaching errors, I feel, were made. Again, there's some bad play calling going on. There's just so many little things here and there that went wrong that totally fudged up the game plan. It wasn't like, you can't say, well, this sole thing was the reason we lost. It's just a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So many breakdowns in little areas that we look bad. I know it was only a 10-point loss, but I think it, we look bad. We never looked. Let me say this. I think it's better to say it this way. New Orleans looked like they were in control the whole time.
That's how I felt. Is that, well, I didn't feel like it was ever completely out of striking distance.
Right.
And like I said, is that, you start off and you turn on the TV, Joe, and like 3 minutes of the game go by, and you're like, I haven't missed jack. I was dragging this dryer in the door. I thought I'm going to miss the whole freaking game.
Right.
And I missed 3 minutes. I was trying to fast forward on the DVR because I'm recording it. You're down 7-0. I'm like, oh, God, this is going to be terrible. And then you're back in it right away on the road. That's some poise to come back, drive down the field, get in the end zone. You're right. I mean, it's a 0-0 game there. But every time, the Saints just always seemed, it was like you were running I'm trying to think of a good analogy of where you almost catch up with somebody for a moment. But then they just remind you that you never really were that close in the first place.
And that's it. It wasn't like we were getting blown out. It never really felt like that. It was just
they had momentum.
I never felt like at any point New Orleans was nervous or panicked or, they were just in control. They knew that they were better than us, and they weren't making, many mistakes.
No,
they played
zero. They made zero mistakes. Here, let's talk about the first drive. Michael Thomas on a big pass, 22 yards against Bradbury. Bradbury bites on a move to the inside a little bit and just gets toasted. And then it turns out that Kamara is just a freaking nightmare, Joey.
Unbelievable.
Impossible to deal with him.
You see the highlights and you see him doing all these great runs against other teams, and you're like, man, he's good, but he won't do that against our defense.
No, he does it better. He does it better. The defense did not answer the call, did they, Joey, when it comes to Kamara? You're talking about,
my God, no. I guess I don't know when's a good time to start, but I'm going to go ahead and start. The defense looked slow. They looked old, and they looked slow to me. The tackling.
There are a lot of older players there. Here, listen to this, Joey. The Kamara gets down.
Sharp.
No, it wasn't, because Kamara gets down there. You're all the way down. First drive, they get all the way down the field. They're just eating you up. But, you know, as a Panther fan, I'm almost just used to being eaten up between the 20s. You know, and then where this defense struggled is they had trouble tightening up inside the red zone. And you get this goal line stand where Peppers, listen to this goal. It was like third and whatever. It was short. This is what they had to try to run against is Peppers, Butler, Love, Starr, Short, and Horton were all on the field. And then on top of this, it's a 4th down, I believe. I think they went for it on 4th down, and that was the goal line stand. And Kamara, Shaq has him. Shaq blows his ass up, but is unable to wrap him up. Kamara gets into the end zone. I think right away, that's where I go. That's the difference between Kamara and McCaffrey.
Yeah, McCaffrey is just not. He doesn't have he's not as strong as Kamara. Kamara's got all the quickness of McCaffrey. He's got all his ability, but more strength. And it really, really showed. Like I said, the defense just looked old and slow to me. They were out of place so many times. Guys totally whiffing on tackles or not wrapping up or trying to arm tackle. You're not going to arm tackle Kamara or Ingram. So I don't even know why you're trying it. You're not going to do it.
You know, I really am not too terribly upset with the Shaq Thompson tackle. Like, I know that it's easy to say you could attack. And yes, he tried to blow his ass up. And he kind of did blow his ass up, to be honest. Like, he laid a lick on him. He bounces off of Horton. I think that Luke could have swarmed and helped a little bit there. But nobody ever wants to say Luke does anything wrong. I just felt like it could have taken some second effort there. Shaq put a licking on him. But, guys, that was was it at 4th down, Joey? I'm pretty sure that was a 4th down that they went for it on the opening drive. They get down to like the 3, and he just said, I'm going to put the foot on the gas. The Saints said that. And, you know, speaking of gas, what rhymes with gas that Kamara has that McCaffrey doesn't, Joey? Some ass. I think I lost Joe. I'm by myself here. All right.
You said it. He has. He has.
This is your
and
line.
That's
I
what
was
I meant.
setting you up, Joey. I was setting you up.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I meant when I said he's just like McCaffrey, except he's got ass. That's it. And you can see how explosive McCaffrey could be, or, you know, that's why he was so great in college, because the players are not quite as big and strong as they are in the NFL. And I'm not downing McCaffrey. I think McCaffrey can be a fantastic player. But Kamara is a fantastic player right now because he's stronger, and it shows.
Yeah, he is. If he's that chick at the club, he's the one that got all the moves and got a little thick to her.
That's it.
Junkie for fame says it because he's black. No, because he got an ass on him. Because he's the same. He has the same attributes.
Well, I'm not. I'm definitely in no position to say that, but it's true that he does. He has some bulk to him, and it makes a difference. And I mean, God, we got to give it to the Saints for picking that guy up. It's hard for me to believe that nobody saw the talent. I mean, nobody saw really how good this guy could be. For him to have gone in, the 3rd round?
Yeah.
It's amazing that he made it that far. So this guy's
I don't want to start questioning McCaffrey on this, because I feel like maybe McCaffrey could grow into a little bit more of a man body in a year or two.
Sure,
and,
I
and
don't
you know
deny that at all. He's gonna get into some NFL conditioning, some NFL nutrition. He'll bulk up. He'll get bigger. He might get another 10, 15 pounds on him. Don't He's not gonna put on 25 pounds, but you don't want him to because then he won't be the same player he is. But he might put on another 15 pounds potentially.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about McCaffrey. I like that, but man, Kamara is you cannot deny how good he is.
No,
right
that
now.
kid is.
And
He really
we
is
don't know if it's
special.
going to be long term. There could be injuries. There could be anything that could
Right.
happen.
Right.
But right
But
now,
right
at this
now-
right moment, he's having one of the more amazing rookie seasons you ever see, and he is special, and he is a McCaffrey with a little ass on him. And talk about that. The Saints right away put their foot on the gas. Second drive, the Panthers offense comes out and answers the call. Man, I gotta ask this. And Cody Lashney asked this: is why did we abandon Alex Armah in the fullback role? My question is, you get down to it's first and goal, and we go to Manhurts.
I know. I question
Cam
that.
threw a great pass, by the way. That pass was amazing by Manhurts, but he has one catch on the season.
Right,
Why?
right. And I know why they did, because that's the last thing they really would have been expecting. But
even Manhurts was surprised.
There's a reason he only has one catch on the season at this point.
He hasn't been good this year, man. I mean,
right.
I always hate saying that about guys because they're out there working hard. They're trying to get their thing done.
Sure. And by saying he's not been good, that doesn't mean he sucks. He's just not had a good year. And, he's still learning the NFL, for crying out loud. It's not like he's been around 10 years or anything. Yeah. He's still learning. So no poo-poo on him. But, that goes back to play calling. Get the ball to a playmaker. You know what I'm saying?
Why is that such a hard thing for this coaching staff to do?
You see other teams do it.
You
see plenty of teams.
Well, you see what Devin Funchess has done, right? And you've seen him make some big plays. But for some reason, when we get into the red zone, he disappears. But we don't even throw the plays, Joe.
We don't.
I would call that the most basic, and I know they're basic. You don't want to be predictable all the time, but you're talking about is throw the damn fade to the tall guy. What's the
right? And that's
problem?
it. I watched the Cowboys game on Thursday night, and they got down to the goal line. They were inside the 5, and they throw a fade to Des Bryant 2 times in a row. Same exact play. First time he almost catches it. Second time he grabs it, no problem. So what you got to do?
For it's not to work at times, but even when we had KB and Funchess out there, you're talking about and then you do these weird ass stupid. I won't say weird, but to me,
low percentage.
I agree. I think throwing in between or midfield, should we say, or middle of the field in the end zone, I feel like it's congested.
It is usually too congested. You're really running the chance of an interception or a deflection. And deflections, anything can happen. The ball's knocked in the air. It can go anywhere.
So it was incomplete to Manhurts anyway. We don't do anything that, I would think if you're going to go throw it on 1st and 10, you throw Funchess. He's got a 42-inch vertical. Please, just give it a damn.
6'4".
But Jonathan Stewart gets in for 2 yards, touchdown. We're right back in this game. And then you're able to the only problem is that then this game you're still kind of there. You go back and forth for two drives, and maybe that's 3. The Saints end up punting, it looks like, They punted twice in a row, right, to end the first quarter. So you go into the second quarter, you're still tied up, I believe, 7-7. And you get the first drive. The first drive is where you get the first drive of the second quarter, you get Matt Khalil with the face mask, the double penalty. Poor guy. You're talking about people were pissed at him because he gets a penalty, and he got 2 penalties on the same play. They got to pick which one they called. And that's just easy fodder for how terrible he is. He has not been good. They're able to score with it looks like a giant run. Yes, 72 yards by Mark Ingram. Let's talk about this part. Let's not talk about the drive as much as that. 72 yards on the ground. I think they had 148 yards on the ground total. Kamara and Ingram.
And Tony, that's part of what I'm talking about when I say old and slow. There were a couple runs where once they got through the line, there was nobody around. And usually you got a linebacker there or the safeties come up. But those guys were getting picked up and blocked. And, Charles Johnson wasn't there. I would say he's not great against the pass rush, but he's pretty solid against the run. So, they definitely missed him. But
yeah, but these were runs that weren't just off. And I don't know. I always get them confused, like an off tackle run. This was not an outside run.
No, this was inside runs.
Right,
yeah,
straight up the gut.
Right.
So while Charles Johnson wasn't there, that was the one. You've got all the horses there that you think you should be able to stop something like this,
right? And you have the linebackers there. You think they're going to make the play?
Gassed it, Joe. They said they said in the YouTube chat that Matt Khalil got a double penalty and still gave up a sack. That's some messed up. That's some messed up shit right there. But yeah, okay. So what did I say last week? We had to stop the run. You can't stop the run. This game's over, and we couldn't. 72-yard run
that was
toast.
That was the key to the game. In order to be competitive and have a chance, the run had to be stopped, and we didn't.
Yeah. Then you go on to this is that Ingram, he has this 72-yard run. I don't know if it was the same drive. I was watching this drive, another one. So why is this? What's the problem? Why can't? Is it Charles Johnson? Is it somebody was at work today was telling me this. He said when you're scared of your secondary and what they can do, that you give up some ability to tackle down on the run, which I disagree with entirely, because I feel like this is that we've always been horrible in the secondary, or at least since Rivera's been there for the most part. And the only good thing we've been good at is pass rushing, stopping the run, and letting our linebackers fly. I don't buy it. I don't buy in that. I think it's a cop-out personally. Why, Joey? What the hell? I mean, I think we were just right. The defense isn't as good as people want it to be.
And we've been saying that. This isn't like we just started saying this. I hate to.
We were on this.
But we have been saying this for a couple of weeks now that we didn't think the defense was as good as our ranking is, and it showed. It's not just the defense's fault, no doubt, but that's what a lot of people were saying was, our defense is better than these guys or these guys, and they might be better, but the Saints just did whatever they wanted for the most part.
They did. They did everything they wanted. Right when you think it's just only Kamara and Ingram tearing you a new one, Coleman and Mike, whatever his name. Those guys are just gashing you too. To me, this game was on the defense. And I know we can talk about some other things. I think that the defense and the special teams let us down. And, you get torched on the run or gashed on the run. You don't do anything. Really, I mean, I guess you have the one good play, Mike Adams. I would say Mike Adams played a pretty good game, forced a fumble in this game, and I thought that was pretty good. Or not, but that was obviously pretty good. He did miss a tackle at one point, but he laid the wood on a couple. And he had, I would say, overall, Mike Adams had a pretty good game. But the defense, to me, I think it goes down to this, Joey, is that they converted on 40% of third downs, and it was a 3rd and 7 down, 3rd and 7, and I want to say this was. Let me see when this was. Is 3rd and 7, and this may have been. I don't know if this was third quarter or at the end. There was a 3rd and 7 play where Ingram, we had him. We tackled him.
Yes.
At the 5, and he just pushed on for. I mean, like 2 guys he pushed through.
Right. One was Thomas Davis, and the other one was I want to say either Bradbury or Coleman. But he did. Well, the offensive lineman came from behind and kind of gave him a shove, but they had plenty of time.
We were there. You had it. Like you had a 3rd and 7, and you're off the field. You're off the field. Right. You snuffed it out, and he got it.
And he still managed to get it. And that right there showed me that, hey, our team either did not come to play, ready to play, which I don't believe, or they're just older and slow. And that's why I say they looked old and slow. That's a play that an older and slower team makes. A younger, fast team gets the guy, brings him down.
So you get there, Joey, we sacrifice that. I went back and looked at it, is that the Saints in that game that we were at, what was that, week 3?
Yeah.
They converted 50% of third downs in that game. They converted 40% of their third downs in this game. And then those third downs, it was that play then led to a score. You have it. Those are plays you got to get. You got to get off the field.
Right.
And so speaking of the old and slow thing there, you saw Shaq Thompson. They said after the game he was in a boot, some sort of ankle, foot injury, minor.
Right. They said it wasn't anything serious, but they wanted him obviously taking pressure off of it.
It hampered his play, though, in the game. You could see him limping around, and you could probably try to excuse and say, well, that's the reason he didn't have the greatest game. He could have done some other things. They picked on him. Thomas Davis wasn't out there as much either. We saw him, last year I think Thomas Davis played 100% of the snaps. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was something to that effect.
It was pretty close to that, if not.
What is going on with Thomas Davis? I don't know. And not that, like, when I say what is going on, is that, like, he's like, why isn't he playing better? But I saw a couple of critical plays where, by the way, I think that 3rd and 7 was maybe second. It was 2nd and 7. It was third quarter. But I saw a lot of plays that I felt like were important scenarios, and Thomas Davis wasn't out there. So is he dealing with some sort of injury that I don't know about? Do you know anything about that? Does anybody in the YouTube chat? I feel like this is that hamstring.
According to Blue Bayou 10, hamstring.
Yeah. So they're trying to protect him some, but then they're still throwing 3 damn linebackers out there. defense let us down, and then you got this. 2 major turnovers, Joey. 2 major turnovers.
Yeah.
You got the one that I'm going to kind of excuse in Pilardi. And not excuse, but he's had a great season as a punter.
Yes.
It's not like it's, I mean.
I remember the result was, he tried to throw the ball, but what was it, a bad snap?
No, he caught
He mishandled it?
He caught the ball, he went to kick it, and he dropped it early.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you just kind of a silly mistiming where he went to go kick the ball, and he dropped it, and he kicked, and the ball's on the ground, basically.
Talk about a bad time for error.
Yeah, it was just one of those fluke. It was kind of a fluke bad play where somebody. It would be like if LeBron James airballed it.
Right.
It's just like, come on. These guys don't do that.
You said your caveat was a good one because he has had a great year. And if the guy has one bad play all year long, you got to be thankful for that. It was just like at the worst possible time, in the worst possible time.
You can't have bad plays against good teams.
Right.
Or really good teams. And you can't be a great team and have these plays. And I don't want to I'm not going to hammer on Pilardi. I mean, it just kind of sucked. And then he actually recovered well.
He did. If he'd have done a little bit well, we had a penalty for a legal man downfield.
Yeah, but that was the best thing you could possibly do.
Yeah.
That kind of crap happens. Cam Newton didn't have any turnovers. We did recover. You're down a touchdown at one point. Now you are down, and then Carolina, they pull ahead. It seems like the game's out of hand. There's a little bit more than 3 minutes left, and the Panthers score a touchdown. We almost have a onside recovery.
That was a great effort by Funches, man. That really was.
My first, what'd you say? What were the words out of your mouth when the play went down, like live?
I was like, yes. I was like,
he's in.
Yes.
He's in.
Like,
he's in.
No.
That's what I said. And then I was like, and then this was funny. Is somebody quoted us? It was one of the Bucks websites. They put up my tweet, and they juxtaposed it side by side with, I think it was Canal Street Chronicles or one of the Saints tweets. And my tweet said he's in, and the other one said he's out. It was just like, I felt like, yep, that's exactly. Now, I mean, I don't think it was a bad call, but boy, so close. Matter of inches, missed opportunities. Right. This just comes down to 3 or 4 plays, as Ron Rivera likes to say so much. But one of those 3 or 4 plays that we met is that really sucked is Kalen Clay, right when you're kind of you stop their offense.
Right.
You're trying to
just a little bit of momentum. You stop the offense, you're making them kick, you're gonna have a chance to drive downfield. And what does he do? He does his best Michael Jackson impersonation.
Moonwalked
and tries dancing the night away instead of protecting that ball, getting what he can, and getting down.
This is what happens when you get a little success. You know what I'm saying?
Right. One great return, and now he thinks he's Deion Sanders back there.
Or who was the joystick from the Kansas City Chiefs? That was always my favorite. Dante Hall.
Oh.
Was it Dante Hall? I think it was Dante Hall.
Yeah, Dante Hall. That's him.
He was my favorite punt returner. That wasn't a Panther of all time.
Yeah,
is that you make one spin move and you don't get destroyed. By the way, I really wish that everybody would remember that. Is that spin move is one tackle away from him being in a coma.
Right.
Yeah. If he would have played in that game last night, Joey, he would have been in a coma.
Yes.
And
That was
I'm not
nasty.
trying to. God, it was. But I'm not trying to knock it. But you get that. You get the polarity thing. You get the fumble.
The play, fumble.
Yeah,
And
and
you just can't do that. Like you said, you want to beat a very good team, you cannot have those type of mistakes.
fourth down. How upset were you when Funchess didn't get the fourth down? Who's that on?
That is, I blame the coaches because you have to say, you have to coach that. You have to coach that, guys. On a fourth down, you're running an out pattern. You have to go past the sticks to be able to work your way back and still have a first down. That is, they coach that in high school, man. You know what I mean? You're learning that in high school. It's just so, that's what separates, our pros from roster guys, from starters. Those guys know it, don't have to be told it. They know to do it, and they do it every time. And I'm sure he thought, I'm going to catch the ball and just stretch my arm out over the line and get it.
Good.
I know
play,
that's
right?
what he's thinking. But that Saints DB was on him right away.
I'm glad that people aren't coming down on Cam for that, because Cam has to throw it where the ball can't get picked. If it's a 1 yard deeper route, he gets to throw that same ball, because Funchess comes back to it, and he did have to come back to it. But it was because if it was 2 more steps forward, it would have been. It
could have been deflected or intercepted.
Yeah, you can't. You gotta protect the football. Joey, the referees, right? I will look, Funchess. I've been impressed with Funchess a lot. He has had some critical drops. And before we get to the referees, the dropsies, the team has the dropsies. Talking 6 drops in this game.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching that football game last night where Antonio Brown got his dang he got blown up in the end zone, and he held on to that football. Touchdown. But Antonio Brown dropped the ball last night, and they said that was his second drop of the season after 168 targets. 168 targets. He dropped the ball twice. Have more drops by Manhurts.
That's why I know. On like 5 targets. That's why he is all pro, man. That's why he makes $10 million a year, $12 million a year, whatever it is he makes. It's because of that. And, Funchess is still developing. He's really, remember his rookie year to now, think of how much better he is.
It's amazing.
Player.
I just love this. Kevin Ketchy says this. Hey, I'm the same, Tony. I never thought Funchess would have been anything more than another receiver that passes through Carolina. I'm with Kevin 100%. I just wasn't on board, but he stepped up big ever since the trade. And the one thing that I love about Funchess right now is that Kelvin Benjamin had a higher floor than Devin Funchess, but Devin Funchess, man, he runs after catch. He shows you this is he kind of put that stuff behind him. He snags that ball and scores a touchdown. All of a sudden, you're right back in it, Joey. You're down 10 points. There's 3 minutes and change on the clock. You got an opportunity, kick the ball off to them, but the problem is defense can't stop the damn run. Kamara gets a first down. This game gets inside the 2-minute warning. It's over. So you had some dropsies. Russell Shepard is a culprit there. Devin Funchess is part of that problem. Cam underthrew Damiere Byrd on what could have been a game-changing play.
Absolutely.
But
the Byrd was open.
I got to cape up for Cam. There's a lot of people by his feet. It's amazing he got the ball down there in the first place, to be honest. And you watch somebody like Joe Flacco play on other teams, that's like 8 inches off the mark. Joe Flacco would have thrown that to like the other 20. I mean, like it's just is that Cam underthrew the ball, but Bird was there, burned him. That could have been they made plays we didn't. But one of the things that happened, Joey, that a lot of people were talking about in the chat room that we cannot ignore. We're talking 49 minutes. We're into this podcast. We're still talking about this stupid game. The referees. Tough game of officiating. You go from, and I would say on both sides, I'm ready to just say that there were a couple of calls that we got at times that I were like, geez, you really talking about it? Hold. There was one holding call against their defense. I was like, man, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you.
As long as they're consistently bad, that's okay. If they're just mad against one team, then that sucks. But if both teams are getting the benefit of bad calls, and how can you complain? And I know the reffing was not the best, but that's no excuse. I don't believe you can really say we lost the game because of the refs.
It wouldn't have helped. I mean, that was the offsides because A.J. Klein comes completely unblocked up the middle. You're like, Jesus.
Yes.
Like, you guys, you don't know what's going on. You're just watching the game, and you're like, holy cow. Klein was unblocked. Who messed up? And who messed up is everybody quit on the play because it was offsides. Ron Rivera upset about that on the sidelines. Sad Ron Rivera there. And then there was another play too. The other one, a lot of fans. What do you think about the Peppers play? You think that was so they called a personal foul on him for unnecessary roughness because he threw that guy down out of bounds. Some people, I love this podcast. I love the fans of this podcast, particularly in the chat room, because everybody's like, that's the worst call ever. And I am with you guys. Like, I'm totally with you. I do think by the letter of the law, it probably
was a foul. Yes.
But here's the difference is that dude didn't stop playing. That dude didn't stop playing. That's the thing, is he tried to keep running. And Pepper, like, if he would have stopped playing because he was out of bounds, but he was trying to push up field.
Let me ask you, if somebody would have done that to Christian McCaffrey, you'd have wanted them to be called.
They didn't do it. Yeah, I would say that. I asked that very same thing to myself, Joey, and I said yes.
Yes, so there you go. I mean, I don't want them to call it either, but it is what it is.
But they did that. And I'm not ready to say that was a terrible call. It kind of sucks. Peppers was pissed about it because the guy kept fighting. He acted like the play wasn't over, and Peppers just was a giant man on top of him. You see that play last night, dude, where the guy stopped? Like, he didn't even try, and Le'Veon Bell just, like, ran into the end zone where the guy, like, thought he was going to run out of bounds. Yeah,
and he didn't even lay a finger on him.
That's what Pep was like, you ain't going to ever do that shit to me. Like, sorry, I'd rather have 15 yards than you ever get an extra inch on my ass.
One thing, two more things I want to talk about. I don't think you mentioned them yet. First, the 40-something seconds left in the second quarter. You've got 2 timeouts and you just run the clock out. I don't know. You got 40 seconds. Why don't you try a play or two? Nothing too crazy. Nothing that's going to probably cause a turnover. But, maybe a couple deep outs, maybe a reverse or something like that, and see what happens. And then, it's third down, then you run the clock out. But why do you have to do it on, first down? So, I thought that was almost like, well, we give up. Some people were saying, well, it's Ron Rivera not wanting to make the situation any worse.
Would they run the ball on first down?
I thought
I think
They
that
did
they
do a
ran
run.
the ball
Yeah,
on
right at
first
the middle,
down,
probably.
and it was McCaffrey between the tackles, and it didn't do anything, and then they quit.
Right. Right.
So that got you to 42 seconds, but that's the same thing. That's even worse.
Right.
That
So
you're not.
I guess, you know, how I'm looking at it is when you're playing against a good team like that, you got to take of every opportunity you're given. Imagine if we could have just scored a field goal.
They went for it. They went for it on fourth down on the 3-yard line on the first drive of the game.
Right.
And you're talking about being up, and I know that's Ron Rivera's demeanor and this and that. The game was not out of, but I do want to say this is that I feel like that gives you some faith in your boys too.
Right, and not only that, but if it was just a field goal, we're gonna get the ball back at the start of the second half, so that could be potentially 10 points right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, let alone if you score a touchdown, you're still getting the ball back at the start of the second half. That was my first thing, and then something. I think that it just this is what it comes down to, folks. We have to set Cam free, set Cam free, set Cam free. All right, I'm dead serious.
Free. Yeah,
we have got to set Cam free. He has to run. By running,
why not? His legs work, folks.
Cam he refocuses that defense onto him,
especially when you can't do it without him. When you're not doing it, it would be one coverage. Thing. Oh, I'm with you.
It's going to loosen up coverage. It's going to help to back the defense off so that they're not keying on the backs so much. And it will open up the offense. So I say let him run. As a matter of fact, let him run wild. You know, when he decided to take off from the pocket when nobody was open, he was making positive yards. He was getting good yardage.
He had a freaking 60-yard run. What? Do you remember that run where he runs it and you're like, damn, yeah, he's going to get like 5 yards. And 25 yards later,
they were just still running. So that's my point, man. You have to do it. You're at the point in this
free Cam.
All the stops out and let him run. Set Cam free.
Set him free. I agree 100%. You, and especially when you are lacking in some other departments. It's not like you are taking away from other aspects of your game and trying to force it. It's opening up other aspects of the game. Cody Lashney says Joey Riolano is spitting the hot truth. And I do want to address this is that Xavier Smith says Cam Newton did not underthrow the ball to Damiere Byrd. Jonathan Stewart was out there as an extra blocker, missed his assignment. The defender got past Jonathan and hit Cam, forcing the ball to be short. Certainly the call, the pocket broke down. There was a lot of time for Cam there. It wasn't a perfect play. You know, is that ball is a couple of feet farther ahead, and that's a touchdown easy. That's my point there.
Yes.
Joey,
yes.
I do
1
think
foot.
That,
if it was a foot in front of him, he makes the play. That's all he needed was a foot.
Since we don't have a Vikings guest, we're not going to talk so much about them tonight. I do want to continue though, because there's so much that we did want to talk about. You know, you messaged me after this game and you said, "I'm hot, man. I'm ready." You want to talk about setting Cam free. But really, let's talk. And you mentioned that the defense looked old and slow. Where do you think that this team is right now overall? And not where they are as in what they can be this season, but with the roster specifically.
It's they're at a point where you're looking like, my God, Cam's been here 7 years, and we still have not got the right combination of players around him to help him. We have gotten better. Christian McCaffrey makes a big difference. I believe Samuel was really starting to turn the corner and was going to have an impact
It was
on
forced. I mean, that's all this year. You're talking 2 rookies.
Right. But if you look at the rest of the team, we still need offensive line help. We still need a receiver that can, sprint down the field and has a decent size. Amir Burke can get down the field, but he's 5'8".
Yeah, he's 5'8". He weighs like he's like a wet sheet.
75.
Yeah. I mean, he's like your clothes when you pull them out of the dryer out of the washing machine, put them into the dryer. And
yeah, that's what we need.
He's undrafted. I feel like this team. One of the things I've been always upset with the Panthers roster in the last 7 years, or since even Dave Gettleman, is like we get so excited about guys that are kind of long shots.
Right. What makes me mad is we've had Cam on the team 7 years, and we're still looking for the same players to surround him with. We've had 7 drafts since Cam, and we're still looking for receiver, safety, maybe a cornerback, offensive lineman, wide receiver.
And this
same guys every year.
Gettleman was your boy. But there's something to be said is that these last drafts have been bust, dude. Bust.
I like Gettleman because I think he did get us going in the right direction.
Right, because you go from a 2-14 team to competitive every year, and amen to that. Like let's not.
And we had a 3-year run where we were the best team in our division.
Let's not dismiss our success.
Right, but there's still holes in this roster that have been holes for a long time. We might patch them up with some paper thin material, but that's going to wear out quickly. And that's where we are. Yet again, we find ourselves in the same position, needing these same gaps filled.
It goes back to something that I've always said, is that you can't draft for need and you can't draft best player available in a vacuum. Like either one in a vacuum doesn't work. Because it sounds good, like we're going to just draft the best player available. But we've always talked about this. If that was the case and the best player available was another quarterback, you wouldn't do it. Like there are caveats. And they know that when they say that. I don't know if there was enough master plan involved.
It's like you want to draft the best possible player at a position of need.
Yes, that is exactly it. Because when you're at 142nd player on the board, Joey, what is the difference between 144, 142, and 122? Nothing.
Right, it's minuscule.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're looking at Trey Boston right now making the Pro Bowl and with the Chargers, don't worry, he's not a Pro Bowler. It's okay, folks. But the point that I'm making is that, like, you have to, I don't know, is that we've seen Butler. We've seen Butler, people talking about Butler in the YouTube chat.
Yeah.
You see where we're trying to force Shaq Thompson onto the scene, and not force him as in that he's not playing well, but it just seems unnatural that what we're trying to do at sometimes. Then you see Kelvin Benjamin go away. Funchess is finally thriving, and if you remember why we drafted Kelvin Benjamin, it was because of that funky town crap with Steve Smith that we cut. You put yourself in a corner where you have no receivers, and then 2 years later you have no corners. There definitely could have been some better moves made.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for sure. And
Carlton,
one drive.
Carlton Davis, hold on to that comment, brother. I got a surprise for you. All right. So, anything else about that game before we talk? Let's do this. I gotta actually. It's a great time to go this while Carlton is here. I've got a couple of clips. This is our segment for this week, and it's not really a segment. I just grabbed these. I was listening to the game. This is dumb Aikman, dumb doofus Troy Aikman.
Oh, yeah.
And I gotta say, I was more upset with Troy Aikman than Joe Buck, and that is a special moment when I don't dislike Joe Buck entirely. But here's 3 clips from Troy Aikman that you got to ask, what's going on up there, brother?
I was down there on the field. This turf here is pretty soft. In fact, I talked to Greg about it. He agreed. He thought it was a little softer than he thought it was also. Kind of wondered how Carolina would be able to incorporate McCaffrey into their offense when they drafted him so high there in the first round. And I'll tell you, Mike Shula has done a tremendous job.
So the first 2, let me play them once. They're fast, you know what I'm saying? Because it's kind of crazy. We're listening to it now, and in the broadcast, they don't sound that fast. He says he's talking about the turf, and he's talking about how the turf. He was talking with Greg Olson. By the way, Greg Olson was held out because of this, because they're playing 2 consecutive games on field turf. And that's the problem, not his broken foot. To me, this is the silliest thing ever. It's like, well, if we would have been playing on concrete, we would have made him wear roller skates. Like, it's just stupid. Field turf, he wasn't ready. So this is what he said. He was talking about the sponginess of the field turf.
I was down there on the field. This turf here is pretty soft. In fact, I talked to Greg about it. He agreed. He thought it was a little softer than he thought it was also.
I like that. He thought it was a little softer than he thought it was. Like, what does that mean? He thought it was a little softer than he thought it was. Here is him on Christian McCaffrey again. And this is what I love about this quote, Joey, is you pick a guy at number 8 overall. I think you better damn have a plan for how to use him. Like, if you pick a guy at number 8 overall at running back, it's pretty simple. He runs the ball. He catches the ball. He scores touchdowns. He gets yards. It shouldn't be that freaking brain science to me. But this is what he says about how Mike Shula has figured out how to use this crazy wild talent, McCaffrey.
Kind of wondered how Carolina would be able to incorporate McCaffrey into their offense when they drafted him so high there in the first round. And I'll tell you, Mike Shula has done a tremendous job.
We're still waiting, Mike Shula, on you doing a tremendous job. And then this is my favorite, Joe. This is on that after that man hurts pass right here. And Cam Newton threw a great pass to Manhurts. He couldn't come down with it.
The angle of that throw, not easy at all. That was a better effort by Newton than I would have expected for anyone to be able to make.
That was a better the angle on that from Cam Newton was better than I expected him or anyone to be able to make. What do you think about? Is that like a backhanded slap, Joe?
I think he meant it as a compliment,
right.
But it was about as bad a compliment as you could pay someone without insulting them.
I agree. Is that none of these? This is why he's kind of a doofus. Is that's what Cam? He
does sound like an idiot. He really does.
Is Mac on Mac Attack on WFNZ called him a doofus, and I think that's a good word for it. It's like it's not ill intended. It's just like, God, you're trying to give Cam Newton a compliment, and it sounds like that was better than I expected Cam Newton to be able to do. And then, it's a crazy game when I see eye to eye, or in the spirit of Christmas, when Joe Buck sees what I see.
I was down there on the field. This turf here is pretty. Here's Stewart hesitating and getting 2.
Here, one more time.
Here's Stewart hesitating and getting 2.
Here's Stewart hesitating and getting 2. That is what we've been talking about with Jonathan Stewart, hesitating and getting 2. So,
yep, it's been the story of the season. Man.
Gosh. All right, the Minnesota Vikings went into Atlanta and whooped their tail.
Hot Atlanta.
God. Joe, who were you pulling for in this game?
I was pulling for the Vikings.
Oh, good for you. Why?
Yeah,
Tell me, because I went the other way, and I guess it's because the Panthers lost that I look like a fool.
I wanted them to lose because I was hoping we'd win, obviously. I wanted the Falcons to lose, hoping we'd win so that we could keep that, stretch our lead out in the division.
If we would have won our game, it wouldn't have mattered, would it? It would have really helped us. I was cheering the other way. I was cheering for the Falcons. I can't. It's funny for those words to come out of my mouth, Joey, but I wasn't really cheering for them as much as, I would love for it to be a tie. Actually, I did tweet that I would love for this to be a tie. But, if we would have won against the Saints, the Falcons beat the Vikings, and then you beat the Vikings next week, we leapfrog into the 2 seed. All of a sudden, we're hosting a playoff game after a bye. That's what I was looking at. But the Vikings go on the road. They go to Atlanta against the Atlanta team that I don't think is all that bad. Obviously, they're not all that bad if they're 7-4 or whatever they are right now. They're 1 game behind us. 7-5, I believe. The Vikings, man, we're going to play them next week, Joey. They ain't no joke. Defense is great. They shut down Julio. Their defense is great. I'm going to say it again. I know it sounds like an echo, but boy, is it good.
No, their defense is great.
They are. They've got Joseph.
Rushers, they've got linebackers. They've got defensive backs. They're good.
The defensive tackle, Linville Joseph, a dang former ECU Pirate. Maybe.
Big play, tough. They're fast. They're strong, and they like to hit. So, and we better bring it this week, man. You better tighten up those helmets, wind up those jock straps, because it's gonna be a battle.
You turn to the other side of the ball, and this is where, I expect them to be good on defense, Joey. I'm cool. I know that. You got a Mike Zimmer, right? Isn't that his name, Mike Zimmer?
Yeah. Yeah, the head coach, defensive-minded coach.
Yeah, they got a lot of talent on defense. You expect that defense to be legit, but here the big surprise is the Minnesota Vikings offense, despite losing
Adrian Peterson.
Yeah. Quarterbacks, Sam Bradford, which obviously is a blessing for anybody. I've been telling y'all that. But, no Teddy Bridgewater. They traded look, they got Case Keenum as their starting quarterback who tried to start for the Rams last year. Wasn't working out. Case Keenum has a phenomenal year. Stephon Diggs coming off a year last year that ended in injury and disappointment. Adam Thielen, a guy out of nowhere, a man on fire, who's that white dude that everybody likes to pull for now because he's a white receiver. He's like the modern day Ricky Pro.
Or a better version of Jordy Nelson.
Yeah, a bigger version of Jordy Nelson. A tall, and their offense. And did we mention they lose Dalvin Cook, who was having an amazing season? And they lose him for the entire year, and their offense is still freaking good. And I was wrong on Adam Thielen. I thought he was an imposter.
Latavius Murray has stepped up and played very well these last few weeks. A former Raider.
McKinnon.
McKinnon's come in and had big games for them. And let's start it all right under center. You said Case Keenum. Case Keenum is having a career year, folks. This guy has played.
He's having a career year, Joey, for another player. Like, I mean, it's one thing to say a career. I mean, it's like
another quarterback could say that this would be a career year for them.
I mean,
yes,
he has not had much of a career, so like you're gonna say like it was easy, but it's a career year for a legitimate starter.
Right, exactly, and he has been a little bit of a journeyman, never quite found a home. I don't know what it is, but he has put it together this year, and it's been consistent. It's not like a game here or a game there. There's been one game right after the other that he has been playing exceptional. And
I tried to fight it. Joey, I tried to fight it. I thought it's got to come to an end. It's got to come to an end. It's not.
I thought the same thing. So much so that I traded him off of a team. I had him on the team. I thought, oh, well, this is going to get over before, too long.
Slim J said Keenum is not legit. He's just hot right now. Well, what we're saying is that may be the case, Slim J.
Yes.
He may not be legit for 10 years, but
he's
legit this year. Like, when we say hot, it's not ending this. It's not ending until 2018 season. That's what I say.
Right.
Is I'm not fighting it anymore.
No, this kid is good. We had a tough week last week. Well, guess what? This week might even be tougher because
I think they might be a better team. Well,
they are.
Their
defense is better.
Their defense is, yeah, and their offense is not as good as New Orleans, but their passing game is playing better. Imagine that. Imagine this. Is that the Minnesota Vikings have a better air attack than the New Orleans Saints, and the New Orleans Saints have a better running attack than the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah,
God bless America. Make America great again, folks. This
what
is
about,
not right.
Let me throw this at you. How about the year that Remmers is having?
No shit. Oh, don't worry. Oh, this is good news. We're about to blow Remmers up, bro. Start whoever is playing against Remmers because Remmers hits a wall in week 12. It's over. His run is over. He did this with the Panthers. So. He gets tired. Mark my words. That's what happened when he was here in Carolina. Is that
I hope so.
Played an amazing first 12 weeks.
This week. You talk about Tony Ely had a revenge game coming. So does Remmers. But I'm hoping the Panthers are the ones that extracts revenge for all the crappy jobs he did blocking late in the year for us.
Yeah, we got it. It's all right. Revenge game for Mike Remmers, Slim J says, laughing his ass off. I think the other thing, too, was Cody Lashney said this is a good point. The Vikings have completely kicked our ass the last 2 times we've played them.
Yeah.
He says we have to be the ones that assert our will in this game. I say this, we have to be the ones that kick their ass. He was trying to be PC on that. But my point, he's damn right. You got that the Frigid Bowl. You remember the Ice Bowl a couple years ago where it was like 13 degrees or negative 13 degrees. And Carolina got in trouble for trying to warm the balls up, the kicking balls up, because they were like bricks of ice. So you had that, and then you had last year, I think it was the Vikings game that Homeboy suffered, Michael Orr suffered that concussion against.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So they whooped us then. We got to put a whipping on them. But the problem is that right now they're a better team than us. But God bless us. We've got Cam Newton. They've got Case Keenum. So God bless us.
You know what? I would love to beat them 40-0, but if we can win 14-13, I will take it.
Yeah, 41-40, 30-30, 30-29, 3-0.
That's fine.
We'll take either one of them.
Yes, we need to win. We need to win this week.
All right. Joe, let's jump into these cat. You ready to get into the cat calls?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in the snow? Who's that kid that can use one?
What's up, Panther Nation? This is Michael. I'm at Shunter86 on Twitter. I'm a Panthers fan from Australia. I took the day off work today to catch the big game, and yeah, I kind of wish I went into the office today. I think it's clear this year that although we've got some promising aspects to the roster, we're just not a complete team. We can't seem to get it all together. And as much as it sucks, the Saints look like they're the real deal this year. So they might be the third NFC South team in 3 years to go to the Super Bowl and hopefully get beaten by the AFC team. I'm not much of a homer. I want to see the NFC South rivals get theirs. So anyway, we've still got some games to go, and I think we're still a good enough team that we can get one of those wild card spots. But for now, I don't think we've got this division. Anyway, keep pounding.
All right. First of all, thanks for listening all the way from Australia. That's got to be the most distant call out of all of the calls we've had on the cat calls line. That's on the other side of the planet, literally. He's right, though. Joey, can you say it better? Is that we just don't really have the complete team. We've got some good pieces. We've got some talent. The defense can play. But they're either old, they're either young, inexperienced. It's just not enough all around. And he's right. I think he's 100% right. Is that this team is a wild card team, and it's kind of hard to see them. We need to be getting better. If we were a Super Bowl team, I feel like we'd be getting better right now.
Yeah, we should. You would think we would be, but it almost feels like we're spinning our wheels.
Yeah, and we're not getting worse.
No, we're not progressing. We're just like I said, spinning our wheels. We're not going forward or backward.
Yeah. All right. So great call there. Thanks for listening all the way from down under. We appreciate it. And it does suck to take the day off. Kind of like buying a dryer and spending all that money and then having your whole family bother you and put it in.
Panther Nation, I cannot believe what I just witnessed today. Mike Shula, the biggest clown I have ever seen. We need to come together. We need to do what Tennessee did with Greg Schiano, and we need to get Mike Shula out of the play calling. Or else, this season, over. Keep pounding.
Tony Dunn, Mel Mayock, frickin' Puerto Rican, Joe Riolano, what's going on? It's the YouTube champion, Cody Lashley. What's going on, boys? And listen, I'm just going to make this show short. The Minnesota Vikings are going to show us what kind of team we are going forward. We have to be the good team this year if we're going to be really taken seriously and if we're going to have a chance at the playoffs. The Patriots team that we beat earlier this year, that's not who they are now. And if you look at the Eagles and the Saints, we lost those games. This is a must-have. If we do not beat the Vikings, I do not like our chances. Maybe even to make the playoffs. I don't know. I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but this is a must-have. And it's a revenge game, man. The Vikings kick our asses every time, it feels like. So, yeah, we have to have this. But you already know that. Peace and love. Keep pounding.
100% right is that if you lose this game, we got to question. It's not being pessimistic, Cody. It's being realistic.
No. Well, yeah.
Is that if you, it's not a must win because everybody's gonna be like, you tweet anytime you say must win, they'll be like, well, statistically the Browns can still make the playoffs, and you're like, no, this kind of is, and it's not about a statistic thing. It's about your manhood,
right?
You know, and this team, like he said, he put it. What a great point. We got to beat a team that means something,
right? There's that like you said, that Patriots one we had early in the year. Yes, early in the year that was a big win. But now, could we beat the Patriots that are playing right now? That's a good question.
Think about Detroit. You think Detroit at that point, you come in, both of you are 4-1, I believe, or something to that effect.
Like that, yeah.
I think we were both 4-1 teams at that time. The only two teams that week that had winning records in the whole league that were playing each other. Seemed like a huge game at that time. And now I can't pick the Detroit Lions to win a freaking scratch-off ticket, dude. They suck. And I mean, they don't suck. They just haven't, but they're not a great team right now. You know? So he's right. He's 100% right. This is our last chance. It's our last chance, because after this, your other chance is Atlanta, and that at that point you're just hoping you're drowning, and that every one of those is that last little gasp of air before you can't tread water anymore.
Yeah, see, I was just going to make the observation that it seemed rather peculiar that it took a infraction at the line of scrimmage, an infraction that wasn't called, to get Coach Rivera to show a little dander and fire about a missed call, when in point of fact, that never ever seemed to happen with all the late hits over the years on Newton. Just find that rather mind-blowing. Comments?
I think, you know
hey
what?
Guys, it's Shaughnessy from.
Hold up, Shaughnessy. You hold on. You hold yourself. Hold up, Shaughnessy. That's me, by the way. Press and play. Joey? What do you think? You want to see Ron Rivera show more emotion?
Look, I think you do want to have a coach that has a calm demeanor and that doesn't fly off and at the drop of a hat. I think that's necessary. But you do want to get a coach that sticks up for his guys, you know? It is important that your players see you show some emotion. You don't have to be stoic all the time. You know, you have to show some emotion, some fire. Let the guys know that you're right there with them. And you know, players don't really see that in him. And I think they would appreciate seeing it more often.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, you always, is that early on in Ron Rivera's career, it bothered the crap out of me for the first moment, because we were crappy, you know what I'm saying, the first season, second season, and you want to see him get upset. You want to see, because I'm kind of a fiery personality. I wear my emotions on my sleeve, and it's not always a good thing. So I have come to appreciate Ron Rivera's ability to not to be able to navigate the ship in some ways. But at the same time, last year I felt like he started to throw some of the players under the bus, when to me it was just as much on this coaching staff. I want my head coach. You know, my wife is really great about this, and I wish I was a better husband about this, is that, like, anytime something happens, I'll be like, hey, could you believe this happens at work? She immediately takes my side. Like, no matter what it is. Even when I feel like, you know what, you probably shouldn't take my side in this. I'm kind of ridiculous. I feel like your head coach should be this. Your guys are always right. Every flag is a bad flag. And your guys, and every loss is on me. And not to excuse your players, not to that, but to show them that you live and you lead from the front.
Right.
Kind of like a general that charges with his troops. I felt like last year that Ron Rivera started pointing the finger a little bit more than usual. So it is nice to see him see some emotion. He knew how important that flag was, but he could get just as mad at 100 other things that the Panther players do in that game. He could be pissed off as well. I think for me, the thing that we should be excited about is that if the Panthers Ron Rivera once again is on the hot seat. And not that he truly is on the hot seat, but we need him on the hot seat because Ron Rivera wins when he's on the hot seat, Joe. If we just say on this podcast that rumors are floating around that Ron Rivera could be fired at the end of the season, he'll win out.
Mm-hmm.
He'll win out. So you know what, Ron Rivera, you're officially on my hot seat. And the reason so is so you can get your ass and get this team and get our ass in the playoffs and surprise somebody. And think about this. What about a Panthers team, wild card team, where the road to the Super Bowl goes through Philadelphia? Does that sound, you ever heard that before in your life, Joey?
Yes.
But I feel like we're a far better team in 2003. And like Michael from Australia said, a far more complete team than we are at this moment. But you never know. You got to get in the dance. All right. Here we got one last cat call.
Comments. Hey, guys. It's Shaughnessy from Chapel Hill. And just wanted to say, I'm pissed off about the game yesterday. I can't believe we got beat by a little Uzi Vert impersonator. But, I mean, that's what happens whenever you're just doing arm tackles and just flat out not playing good D. I'd also like to see Shepard lose his job because he is terrible. Too many drops for me. We don't need another Ted Ginn out here. Well, I'll take him if he'll produce like Ted Ginn in 2015. But I don't think that's happening in the next 4 games. But just give me your thoughts.
Joe, what do you think about Russell Shepard?
I think that's something we didn't address was Shepard. We paid him money to come in and be a special teamer, and contribute some on offense. I think he's done the special teams part, but I think.
Have you ever gone like, oh, what a difference this dude made on special teams, though?
No, I can't say that. As a matter of fact, I thought about today. I thought, well, let me look up how many tackles he has on the season, but I didn't. But that's my point is, I don't think. The Bucks, they were like, yeah, we lost a little something on special teams, but other than that, he's no big loss. I think that's why they were willing to let him go. They had their price. They knew he wasn't worth any more than that. And, I think we may have, taken a hit there.
Lesson learned, Panther fans. Remember this. File it away because we will forget it. It's December 5th right now.
Yeah.
And in about 4 months, so March, April, so January, February, March, April, we're going to do, what do we do? Free agency in March, mainly, like say roughly. So we are about 3 months away from free agency, 5 months away from the NFL draft. You're going to fall in love with players before you see them play a snap in the NFL in your colors. You're going to fall in love with draft picks, and you're going to be like Christian McCaffrey, juking linebackers. He's going to have 2,000 yards this season. Russell Shepard was the diamond that, this guy's going to make a difference everywhere. Look at him. He caught this pass. He got 3 touchdowns in training camp. Just remember this. Just like the Bucks, who always win in March and April, like, we got to see it in November and December for it to really happen. And you know what? Russell Shepard, unfortunately, has not been any more than what he probably should have been in the first place. And that's a 4th receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And we overhype these dudes. And shame on the C3 podcast. Actually, I don't like saying shame on because I feel like that's a screwed up way of describing things. But who do we talk to, Joey? The people that we interact with on Twitter, the people that we bring onto these shows, they're not just casual fans. They're those crazy they're the people like us who love Demir Bird. So imagine if Demir Bird signs a contract with him. We're going like, he's amazing. He could be this. He could do that. And that other person, that other team's like, we've got a speedster he just didn't get an opportunity. Think about what happens when Cameron Artis-Payne signs with a team other than the Carolina Panthers, because you know it's not going to be with them. And that team and a podcast from that team calls us up, Joe, and asks me to tell me my thoughts on Cameron Artis-Payne. What do you think I'm going to say?
You're going to say talented back that was never given a chance in Carolina.
And that he could make a difference every time. And that's what we heard about Russell Shepard. The unfortunate part is that he hasn't.
Right.
So it sucks. And you know what? Until we see different, it's just like the Bucks, man. They're all bet against the Bucks until otherwise proven wrong. All right, Joey, let's do our picks real quick for this for the next week. Carolina, Minnesota. It's at home. It looks like do we got 2 home games in a row? Panthers.
We do. We have Vikings and Green Bay at home.
Wow. You know, without Aaron Rodgers, even if Aaron Rodgers come back, which I think it'd be silly for Green Bay to bring Aaron Rodgers back, even if there's a long shot to make the playoffs, is that the teams are way too good in the NFC to try to. You might as well just protect him for another couple of seasons, in my opinion.
I agree.
You're kind of lucky right here if you're the Panthers. In fact, you thought this was going to be the toughest 2-game stretch. You thought Minnesota, Green Bay, and the back end was going to be tough. Turns out Saints, Minnesota is the 2 tough game streak. Who you got in this? Minnesota at Carolina. Rimmer's revenge.
Well, man, you know, I want Carolina to win. I do. I really do. I think it'll be close. In order for us to win, it's going to have to be close. We're not going to blow them out. So I'm picking the Panthers to win a tight one.
Holy cow! You fooled me, Joe. I wrote the Vikings down here. I thought you were going Vikings.
I know. I'm really the Panthers have to do it. You know, this is it for them. I really believe that. I think they're going to win a tight one, and it's going to be 27-23.
I'm going Vikings. I'm not going Vikings. I'm picking the Panthers too. I agree. It's our back against the wall. You know, I don't think I think Michael from Australia said it best. Is we're not a complete team. We're a wild card team.
Yes.
Hopefully. But this is what it's going to take to get a wild card right here. We need to win this. We need to show some fortitude. You lose this game here, though, Joey. You're talking about there all of a sudden jokes about Ron Rivera on the hot seat. Jokes about there's going to be some changes in Carolina. And it might not be Ron Rivera. But you're talking about Matsko going. You're talking about Shula going. These guys that we have donned as amazing gurus. I mean, the offensive line has not played great, so we cannot continue to just say Matsko is like a freaking guru. Like, I mean, he can't rest on these supposed laurels by fans. And I think earlier in the season, Joey, you said if it's got to be one or the other, Rivera, Shula, Rivera's the one that's going to drop the axe on Shula. So This is one of those games. The Carolina Panthers win when Ron Rivera's on the hot seat. So I hope that the seat is heating up, and I'm picking the Panthers. Let's see who else we got. New Orleans. New Orleans at Falcons. Tough pick right there. I'll take it. Thursday night game. Short game. You know, do I want to go Saints here? Are the Saints really that damn good, Joey? Where they're going to win like 13 games this season? I'm gonna go with them. I'm picking the Saints. And I believed in the Falcons not believed in them, but I thought the Falcons were even better than the record said. But the Vikings going into their house and dealing with them like that, Marcus Lattimore coming back for the Saints, probably. He was almost to go against us. That run game is legit. I almost feel like they can beat the Falcons like we beat them, but even better. Usually, not like how we beat them this year, but like how we typically beat them. I'm picking the Saints on the road. I hate that, but I hate the Falcons even more.
Yeah, I'm going the same way. I think the Saints. I think they're gonna. They had a loss 2 weeks ago against the Rams. I think the Rams are better than the Falcons. So I think the Saints can win this one. Probably 31-20. Maybe somewhere around there.
Yeah, I mean, maybe even 33. Yeah, I think this could be a 27-14 type game. That's what I'm gonna say. Detroit at Tampa. I'm taking Detroit on the road. Tampa Bay, never picking them again until they're gonna have to win like a Super Bowl. Another one, but I'm picking Tampa Bay. I'm picking Detroit on the road in Tampa Bay. Even though the damn Detroit Lions. Actually, I need to know, is Stafford out? I felt like he got hurt this week. Did he get hurt?
He did. He hurt his hand. He bruised it. It's not broken. It's a bad, bad bruise on his right hand, his throwing hand. I don't know if he's out. I'm sure he's probably questionable at best.
Lions don't know how well Matthew Stafford would play. Injury outlook. Matthew Stafford leaves the game. Jeez. All right. You know what? Gosh, are you going with the Bucks, Joey? Because if it's Matthew Stafford hurt, how do you pick the Bucks, man? They suck. A D.
Are they in Tampa?
Yeah.
Jameis had a pretty decent game last week.
All right, I'm going Bucks. I changed my mind. That.
Even if he's playing and with his hurt hand, I know the Bucks are really trying to salvage something out of this season.
And I think what's his name is hurt, Amir Abdullah.
Yes, he didn't play last week.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna go Bucks too. That one will be close. 24-21, 24-20, something like that.
Good for him. Yeah, the Bucks. I tell you one thing that's terrible is their secondary, which was so good last year, is just the opposite this year. They're getting torched. All right, let's guys. I'm gonna remind you this. Ever since we brought in the cat calls, and we just continue to feature more and more of your input, the show has gotten longer, which is a good thing. Because I tell you this, is you're not going to catch any more focused Panther talk from the fan perspective than you'll get here on the C3 Carolina Panthers podcast, and more consistently than this. Every week, week in and week out, we bring it to you, and we could use your support. You do that right now by smashing that thumbs up button on YouTube, following us on Facebook, Carolina Cat Chronicles on Facebook, like our Facebook page. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're listening on iTunes, Stitcher, write a review. I mean, those small things, they really help us grow. And look, you can also donate to the show. There is a link in the show notes if you're listening on the podcast, if you're on YouTube, or you can go to the website. And we appreciate all of that input that you give us there, and that growth continues to help us. And Joey, I think, hold on, do you have any, and actually, let me see. You got anything else you want to talk about before we close out? I mean, we got to do our ice up picks, obviously.
Yeah. No, I mean,
did I miss anything?
Well, I mean, last thing, we got to remember, folks, that the Saints are good. Okay, let's just say it like this. They're a more talented team, and I don't think it's all that close. They've drafted better than us the last couple of years. This year, especially, they have 2 rookies contributing, pretty significantly on the team. And the Rams beat them because the Rams are a good team. They've got some talent on that roster.
You don't want to go to LA and play them. Too bad.
No.
You might have to.
No. So that's all I wanted to add. That don't think the Saints are lucky or whatever. Well, I'm sure most of you guys can just know that over the course of the year they've shown they're a quality team.
I want to give a huge shout out to Mike Frazier, who recently donated to the podcast to help us defer the expenses of keeping this show going. And there are expenses, the website, hosting the podcast, and making sure that we're able to bring you this Panther content. You can help. Thank you, Mike Frazier. You are, I'm not a Sean Hannity fan, but in the vein of Sean Hannity, you are a true Panther fan. Like he likes to say, you are a good American. You are a good Panther fan. So thank you, Mike Frazier. That's amazing. We appreciate that help. You can find all that information on the website or in the show notes of Patreon account. Joe, we got to get them up. There's some time. We got to get after them. And what we're going to do, we're going to ice them up.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so who you got in your ice up picks? You got one.
All right, my ice up pick this week goes to the Bengals and the Steelers for the barbaric display of football that was on last night. It was almost like real gladiators in the Colosseum days out there. All they needed was swords and tridents and some shields, and it would have been. This is an age and a time where people love football, but there's a real focus and awareness of safety. And these guys, it's a brotherhood to play in the NFL. So players, playing dirty and doing some things that are questionable, maybe not illegal, but in a gray area, it really makes the game look bad. And there's already enough of that going on. So for the NFL to put on a big public display, like they did last night, between these two teams, I think in hindsight, they wish they wouldn't have. So I think the coaches and the organizations from the top down need to make sure that the focus is on player safety, even when there's such a huge and bitter rivalry as there is between these two teams. There are a brotherhood. It is a fraternity, and you don't want to see people taken out. So ice up Bengals, ice up Steelers, and get it together, baby.
Yeah, ice up, folks. Joe, my when I pick the ice up picks this every week, sometimes I don't think about it as much as I can, and the problem, and that it turns out to be good when I do my last minute ice up picks, tends to be better because it turns out there's a lot of people in the world that need to be iced up. There's a lot of things that are going down. And so, look, I could go with this. Ex-Representative Corrine Brown from Florida sentenced to 5 years for stealing from a charity fund that she set up for education. She's a Democrat lady who was touted for being the first black representative from Florida. And back since 1992, this charity raised $800,000, and they only donated $1,200 of it. The rest of it went to galas and to her pocket. She could get iced up. from me. I mean, that's a good candidate. Republican Senate Charles Grassley is another one, Joey. I was listening to this guy, and he's talking. I haven't screamed at the radio in a while like this. He's on NPR. He's talking about the tax bill. And they asked him this question. They said, so why are you reducing the inheritance tax in the new tax bill? Because under the current plan, people can have up to an $11 million estate if they work it right without having any taxes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome right now, right? And but like they're making it even more awesome for people that, right? And so, okay, I'm ready for your answer. I'm ready for you to say things like give me a great answer, right? I'm ready for it on why. And I don't want people, I'm not in, basically I'm a historian, Joey. So what I would say is this: if I was somebody going after this, I'd go old Andrew Carnegie, Gospel of Wealth. And he said, look, is that the people that made this money, they're great they could be good stewards for society, and they have a responsibility to give back to society. But what's the worst thing you could do is just confiscate it and then give everybody $1, and you lose that buying power. Right. So I'm ready for that. This is his answer, Joey. Just beat my head against the damn steering wheel. He said this: well, we want to reward people who are frugal in their lives. He said, look, if a person makes $100,000 a year and they save $25,000 a year, we want to make sure that incentive is there. Well, I'm still waiting for this, Joey. The person that makes $100,000 a year to be able to save 25% of their paycheck. Anybody that isn't like uber, you know what I mean? Like saving 25%, generally you've got a lot more expenses, and not just like frivolous expenses. You're talking children, you're talking work, all these different things. But what was the last person you know that made $100,000 a year and became an 11 millionaire? And then I was just upset. I was like, this is, I don't make $100,000 a year, but I felt like this. It was like, all y'all people are poor because you don't save enough. And I thought that's kind of bullshit. So Charles Grassley, I could ice you up. I could ice up this person, this model in Canada who had her eyeball tattooed purple by her ex-boyfriend. And she's like one of these people that likes this body transfiguration. Like they're trying to become like people. What was that James Cameron movie where they were in?
Avatar?
Yeah. Like I feel like they want to be like Avatar people. So she could right now lose her eye because she had her eyeball she tried to dye her eyeball purple. I could ice her up. That would be easy. But my ice up pick this week, Joey, goes to this website that is total clickbait, and it's called, well, I think it's total clickbait, and it's a liberal website. Joey, you know when I go after the libbies, it's on. Bigthink.com. Bigthink.com put out a story today that said Apu for them Simpsons is a racist stereotype. The Simpsons writers should be ashamed. And in the climate of everybody calling out every single person for every dick joke that was made in 1984 as sexual harassment, right now this becomes another moment where you can just take advantage of the words racism or whatever it is to try to profit. I don't fully believe. I'm not clicking on the story, not reading it, Joey. And the comments were great in this thread. Is like the whole Simpsons show is a stereotype, from the greedy business owner to the fat donut eating cop. And then this liberal guy comes up and says, but all of those fat liberal cops in the Simpsons had a choice about how they were. They could have not been greedy. They could have not ate donuts. Well, first of all, it's a cartoon, so they could not do anything. But the thing that I wanted to say, but he said this, they go on to say this, is that he said that the problem here, he said, you are comparing 4 white-based characters whose lives are their choices versus Apu, whose only distinct feature is the Indian guy. It's not the same thing. And then he went on to say that the problem here, and that the whole article was about, was that the reason, he said, the dude who made this doc agrees with a lot of these points. But the problem is that Apu, quote, was the only representation of Indians on the TV that wasn't that great. So right now, they're calling for affirmative action in Indian actors. And I told him, I tweeted him, I just said, look, you should be thanking Apu for getting a foot in the door for Indian actors. Except for India, Apu is a damn cartoon. and I'm not saying, like, what do you want?
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, you shouldn't do that to somebody.
Sorry. What do you want is that, like, I mean, I understand that, like, but we can't it's one thing where a place is systematically racist, but is that, like, there's not a systematic racism against Indians in America. Yes, Indians as in Native Americans, sure, tried to genocide them, ready for you to do all that. But Apu, we're searching, right? And I said this, and then one guy said this, he said, he woke up, Richie Puck says this, I didn't expect to get in a debate with someone claiming The Simpsons was racist this morning when I woke up, but I guess it's 2017. And I said, and I tweeted him, I said, you mean you didn't expect someone to suggest that The Simpsons was the results of the colonial drain on India by the British that impeded the emergence of Indian-based animated cartoon industry? This is just crazy, folks. We're on crazy pills right now. And what I would say to liberals and to conservatives, don't cry wolf. Don't cry wolf. It hurts your cause. And the causes are real. There are real inequities in our society. There are real injustices in our society. But when we say this is your toenail polish is offensive, we get offense fatigue. Yeah. And you're talking about The Simpsons. I tell you this, is The Simpsons is far more successful than BigThink.com. 30 years as a cartoon. And all the shit that they do up there, and that's what you want, is that you got a successful business owner, a poo, speaks like an Indian. That's your problem right there? Come on. Jesus Christ.
That was awesome.
Sorry.
That was awesome.
Ice up. My bad. And, you know, I'm scared to talk about, and you know what? We shouldn't be like that, Joey, right now, is that we're almost fearful to have discussions.
Tony, that's why I'm so upset. That's my problem with liberals, is they're so sensitive about everything, and it's not everyone. Don't get me wrong. I know it's not everyone, but they're so sensitive about everything, and it just feels like it's the wussification of America.
I don't like those terms, but I don't like that. Like, I disagree with so many of those things generally, because I don't feel like I'm wussified. I don't feel like me. But I would say that where it gets up is that you don't want us to have a social Gestapo.
Right. Right. Nobody can say anything because they don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. There can only be certain types of humor because you don't want to offend anyone. There should be only certain types of paper written because if you do, so-and-so's going to go to the ACLU, or they're going to go to, some group.
Right. And because the problem is those things are real, Joey. Some of those things are real, but when you do it on the drop of a dime, it's crying wolf, and where we don't believe it anymore. And you actually alienate people when you get people like me who are not overly sympathetic, but are truly sympathetic to a lot of these issues. And when they get frustrated, that's problematic. One of the things that's driving me nuts, Joey, is that, like, all right, I get you. I would say this is that, yeah, you got to be more careful. In fact, I worry about that all the time, is that we're on a podcast. I got a job. I got a life. I got a career. And all of a sudden I'm just talking a lot. And, you just talking a lot could be dangerous. Better just be quiet. But one of the things now they're being like this is, guess what you said? You said a fart joke in 4th grade.
Right.
And that not only did it offend it, it was a sexually permissive joke. Like you told a 4th grader that you were going to fart in her face. And you're like, that's a sexually permissive. And I get, like, just because something was in the past doesn't mean, like, if somebody murdered somebody in the past.
Sure. That's one thing if you killed somebody. But if you said something to someone in passing that they were offended, but they never told you, and 25 years later, they're going to the media about it and saying,
your apologies, Joey, too, have to be right. Like, even if you try to apologize for being a jerk when you were 20, like, you didn't apologize right. It's like you didn't say it the right way. You could have said it differently. I just thought about this, is like the places we worked at, Joey, at that time. Like,
oh my God, dude.
Like, I mean, like, everybody be in prison. And I just feel like, my God, I need to go apologize to every ex-girlfriend I ever had.
Right, or every single person you worked with between the ages of, like, 16 and 22.
25, yeah, no, 25. Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Is that, like, we're all jerks when we're 19.
And that was my shitheads. Tony, you could see this building. It started with sincere issues. It started with real issues, but then the smaller and smaller and smaller offenses started to be made. It was making a mountain out of a molehill is what started to happen.
And then people dismiss real things.
Yes, and it's continuing now. So, great ice up, Tony. It is 11 o'clock.
All right,
we're done 2-hour podcast.
All right. C3 Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. My name's Tony Dunn. Actually, don't tell anybody that. My name is blah, 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 at Cat Chronicles. And you don't know anything about my life, because please don't call it. Don't be like, I offended you, man. I love all of y'all. Love each and one of y'all, except for if you're a Saints fan, a Falcons fan. Love all Panthers fans. Joe Riolano, at Joe Riolano, right? On Twitter?
At Joe Riolano, that's right. The freaking Puerto Rican. You can find me there. Thanks, guys, for joining us tonight. It was fun. We had a lot to say tonight, obviously.
Yeah. We'll catch you next week, Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Hit us up on the Cat Calls line, 252-228-5098. Thanks for every single one of you in the YouTube chat room. You crush it. You make this show fantastic. You have made America great again and before and now. Panther Nation, reign on. Reign on.